Julian Voss was 37, privately educated, and in possession of the kind of face that made people forgive the first 3 lies. He had money from a family firm that manufactured medical components, a flat in a converted warehouse with river views, and a voice that could make a request sound like a favor being granted. He never forced anyone. He did not need to. He selected carefully. Women between 22 and 28, intelligent enough to be flattered by the attention, ambitious enough to be useful, and still carrying the faint hope that a man like him might mean what he said. He took them to dinners where the lighting was low and the wine was precise. He listened with complete attention. He remembered the names of their sisters and the titles of the books they claimed to love. He took them to bed with skill and apparent generosity, always in his own apartment, always with the same clean sheets. In the morning he made coffee and spoke about future plans in the vague, luminous language of a man who might stay. He never stayed. When he was finished he became polite and slightly distant within 48 hours. Calls went unanswered. Messages received one-line replies that closed every door. If a woman arrived at the building unannounced, the doorman, who was paid well, told her Mr. Voss was out of the country. Most of them cried. Some of them begged. A few threatened. None of them reached him again. He kept a private record on an encrypted drive. Names. Dates. A short note on each. How long it had taken, what she had wanted to hear, how she had looked when she finally understood. He did not revisit the file for pleasure. He revisited it to confirm that the method still worked. The first of the women to find the others was called Nadia. She was 26, a junior architect, and she had lasted 11 days with Julian before the silence began. She spent 3 months trying to understand what she had done wrong. Then she stopped. She began drinking in the same bars he favored, not to see him, but to watch the pattern. She saw him leave with a dark-haired woman in a green dress in March. She saw him leave with a different woman, red hair, in May. She began to keep her own list. By August she had 5 names. By October she had 8. She did not approach them with sympathy. She approached them with the photograph she had taken of Julian's building and the dates she had recorded. Most of the women closed the door in her face. 3 of them did not. Claire was 24 and still finished every sentence as if someone might interrupt her. Julian had told her she was the first woman in years who had made him consider changing his life. He had said it while looking directly into her eyes with complete sincerity. She had believed him completely. When he stopped answering, she had driven to his building 3 times and sat in the car until the windows fogged. Sophie was 27, sharper, already suspicious by the 2nd week, but not suspicious enough. He had made her feel chosen. He had spoken about a future in careful, almost tender detail. Then he had erased himself from her life with the same care. The 4th was Anika, 25, who had lasted the longest, 19 days, and who had been the most thoroughly dismantled. He had spent hours on her, patient and attentive, making her feel seen in a way she had not felt before. He had drawn things out of her she had never given anyone else. Then he had vanished. They met in Nadia's flat on a Sunday afternoon. No one brought wine. Nadia laid out the printed pages of Julian's movements, the photographs, the overlapping dates. Claire cried once, and then stopped. Sophie asked the only question that mattered. What do you want to do? Nadia told them. They did not rush. For 6 weeks they watched him. They learned the name of the cleaning service that entered his flat every Tuesday. They learned which restaurant he used when he wanted to impress someone new. They learned that he kept a second phone for the women, and that he reset it after each of them. They learned that he was careful, but not careful enough against 4 people who had nothing left to protect. The plan was simple in structure and ugly in intent. Claire made the first contact. She ran into him at the gallery opening he always attended in the first week of the month. She was polite, a little cold, and she let him see that she was no longer broken. Curiosity did the rest. He invited her for a drink. She accepted. She let him take her home. She stayed the night and left before morning, citing an early meeting. He believed he had reclaimed something. Sophie went next, 3 nights later. She allowed him the victory of seduction. She gave him what he expected to receive. She left him with the impression that she still wanted him. Anika did not sleep with him. She met him for coffee and let him believe she was still half in love. She cried once, carefully, and allowed him to comfort her. He enjoyed the remnant of power. She left with the spare key, he still kept in a kitchen drawer for the women who stayed overnight. He did not notice it was gone. Nadia never touched him. She handled the rest. On a Thursday night in November, Julian brought a new woman home. She was 23, laughing, already flushed with wine and attention. He had her against the wall in the hallway before they reached the bedroom, speaking low into her ear. He did not hear the front door open behind them. Claire, Sophie and Anika stepped into the flat together. Nadia came last and closed the door quietly. The new woman saw them first. She made a small, confused sound. Julian turned, and the expression on his face went from irritation to calculation to the beginning of fear in less than 2 seconds. Nadia locked the door and put the key in her pocket. What followed took most of the night. They did not kill him quickly. They had discussed this at length. Quick would have been a mercy he had never offered anyone. They used the cable ties Sophie had bought, and the knowledge Anika had extracted about the layout of the flat and the soundproofing the previous owner had installed. They used the rage that had nowhere else to go. Julian fought at first. He was strong and desperate. It did not matter. There were 4 of them, and they had prepared. When he was secured, they took their time. They made certain he understood exactly who had come for him and why. They made certain the hours were long. They made certain that when they finished, Julian Voss would never be able to do to anyone what he had done to them. They were thorough. By the time they left, he was still alive, but only in the most technical sense. They arranged the scene so that the first person to find him would understand the nature of the visit. Then they cleaned the surfaces they had touched, collected every trace of themselves, and walked out of the building at different times before dawn. The new woman had been released hours earlier with a clear warning and the strong suggestion that she forget the address. She did. Julian survived for 11 hours after the cleaning service found him. The official story was a home invasion with a sexual motive. The police interviewed known associates and former partners. Most of the women on Nadia's original list declined to comment. The 4 who had entered the flat that night gave brief, consistent statements that they had not seen Julian in months. Nothing connected them. The encrypted drive in his office was eventually opened by specialists. The file of names became part of the investigation, and then part of the public record when a journalist obtained it. Nadia, Claire, Sophie and Anika never met as a group again. They had agreed on that from the beginning. Each of them carried what they had done in different ways. None of them regretted the central fact of it. Julian Voss died without naming anyone. The damage had made speech impossible in any case. The list he had kept was longer than any of them had known. After the trial documents were released, other women began to find one another. Some of them only talked. Some of them did more. The 4 who had gone into the warehouse flat that November night never spoke of it, not even to each other in the years that followed. They had done what they set out to do. The rest was silence.